Hello everybody, today I want to do another sound design request. We're going to do a request for a track called Speed of Soul by Ghost Rider, and we're going to be making the bassline for that. And I want to talk a little bit about the bassline itself, but I also want to focus a little bit on kind of a dilemma that I've been having when doing these sound design requests. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But for now, let's first get into the actual sound. Alright, so what we have here is just a simple project, and as you can see, we have a kick and a bass here, and then also a reference track. So I'll quickly play you the reference that we have, and it's just going to be a bar, because there isn't really that much more interesting stuff happening, and it's basically just this pattern repeating. But this was the original that was sent to me. And then this is my recreation of it. So as you can see, this kind of sliding bass line, which has a little bit of modulation going on. And then there's a pitch bend towards the end here. But the main thing, the tone, just kind of comes from one saw wave. So if we open up the patch, you can see we have just a saw wave going through a filter. And there's a little bit of distortion, a little bit of compression to pull it all together. And then another filter to really get rid of the high end here. But then all we really do is just go through a compressor, a multi-band compressor, to just make every frequency area as loud as it can be. And then we are boosting the volume even more with boost. So this is really giving us, again, just a higher volume and just making it louder and fatter. You can use any fatter for this, really. You can use like FabFilter ones and, the sausage fattener ones, and I think the maximizer in like Isotope will also work for this. There's a lot of just like maximizers that are just able to like really turn up the volume, and this is what Boost is doing in this case as well. And then finally we have LFO tool here. Now LFO tool, because it's at the end of the chain and there's linear phase stuff happening in front of it, you can see we have to compensate with the phase here. So 254 is the best one for this case. With these particular settings on this plugin, but this is something that you need to find out for yours. LFO tool inside of Ableton at least doesn't really work that well in terms of delay compensation. So you have to manually do that with the phase. So if we don't do that, then it's going to sound like this. So the phase is really there. To kind of slide it in. Make sure that it fits exactly where you want it to, and that there's no collision between the kick and the bass. So that's the sound, and as I said, it's a very simple sound to just make, and there's not a lot of creativity that you can do with it. The only real thing here, as you can see, is that I'm moving the pitch bend here to create that pitch up effect, as well as doing all kinds of things with the filter cutoff that is kind of providing the movement. Here you can see the filter cutoff is just kind of moving between, like, let's say the lowest is 74 and the highest would be around 150 or 160 here, 180 hertz. And that's this filter cutoff. So it's not this filter, but that's the first filter going into the distortion and the compression and everything. So there isn't a lot to do with here. And what I usually do when I get sound design requests is I always kind of look for the interesting bit of it and the interesting bit of the sound. But here, there wasn't really anything that I could talk about that was like unique to this sound. This was all very, very mainstream, and to be honest, actually fairly easy to kind of figure out. Granted, it doesn't sound exactly like it, but that's probably just like effects and processing and whatnot. The main sound, what's coming out of the synth, is probably fairly close to what is coming out of this instance of Serum. There's not a lot to it that makes this particular sound really stand out and unique. So I've been asking myself the question, like, should I be doing these? Should I be doing sound design requests? And the reason why I say that is I usually get like the same request every time. I'll get like Captain Hook bass lines, I'll get bass lines for this song. I'll get like asterisk lead sounds, you know, all the very popular stuff, right? And it's not, it's always like the popular track that is being requested. And I feel like part of that is because people just listen more to popular tracks, obviously. But it's also, I feel, and sometimes in the way people word their request, it's always, or it's not always, it's sometimes also so that they want to make that sound because then they think they'll also make, like they'll also get the views that the original track made. And that's not the case. That's not how anything works. So I wanted to kind of debunk that illusion here with this video. That yes, you can make this sound, and yes, it's very easy to actually make this. But what's really making this bassline work is the whole production, right? So there's not going to be a single sound or even a group of sounds that's going to make your track a lot nicer. There's not going to be a bassline that if you know how to make that bassline, you'll break through as an artist. That's not how it works. You need to be able to make the whole track, and you also need to be able to release that track, and you need to be able to properly distribute it and properly monetize it and properly promote it. So when I get sound design requests, what you should really be requesting is a sound that is unique to your style, what you want to do. And you shouldn't base your music on what other people should are doing. Because yes, you can put that bass line in your track, and yes, you can try to give your own twist to it. Where so what you really should be looking for in a sound design request, or what I think you should take away from a sound design request, is that you need to find a sound, and you need to request a sound that is not really used. And that's hard to do. Obviously, it's hard to find a sound that is not used in a track. But then again, the way you break through as an artist usually is by doing something new, something that nobody else has done. And if you really want to learn sound design and really want to come up with the ideas, obviously it's nice to start off with these simple ideas. But it's so much more effective just to experiment yourself at that point. And so for all those people who want to become like an actual artist, who want to turn their passion of music into like a viable career, or they want to break through, or whatever you want to do in music, if you want to get higher view counts and higher views, what you want to do is you want to find something unique that people like, something new, something they haven't heard before, and then you want to build your audience on top of that, and you want to give them value on top of that. And that's not done by copying somebody else. There's no value in copying something else, right? Nobody's getting any value of making like knockoff Coca-Cola. They'll make a few sales, but they won't be as big as Coca-Cola. If you look at, for example, another drink, let's say Fanta, they did something new. They invented a new drink. In this example, they're both the same company, but it kind of works for the analogy. So what you want to be that Fanta, right? You don't want to be a second Coca-Cola that's just coming in there trying to do something a little bit different, but essentially the same. And everybody's just going to say like, yeah, Coca-Cola is already doing that, so why would I not drink Coca-Cola at that point? And they're right? You wouldn't suddenly switch over to this brand new brand that's really not doing anything new. So it's a little bit hard to explain it in this way, especially in this format where I'm showing off a very simple and very overused kind of bassline. But what I basically want you to say, what I basically want you to do with this video and with this tutorial is I want you to take this sound and I want you to learn it. I want you to experiment with it until it's no longer this sound. So I want you to add layers. I want you to add other processing. I want you to play with the filter in a way that nobody else has done. I want you to maybe change this all for a different waveform. Let's say you do something like this, and whole bunch of sound design stuff, extra stuff you can bring to this preset that makes it yours, that makes it unique, that makes it a completely new idea that you came up with instead of copying whatever Ghostwriter has been doing, or whatever Captain Hook has been doing. This is a fairly Captain Hook bassline as well, or any of those artists that use this kind of bassline, because it's an overused sound, let's be real. I want you to take that sound, I want you to take that starting point and then just move it further, develop it further, develop it into a new idea, and don't stop where Ghostwriter went, and just continue sound designing until it's better, until it's newer, until it's different. And then what you've done then is you've taken an idea that somebody already had and you made it your own. You invented your own sound, you made something new. And it's very easy to do. I just did it. As you can see, I just changed the waveform here, and this is already a new idea right now. You already have a different kind of sound here. It's slightly different. It's nothing crazy. I would personally consider adding more stuff to this, but it's a starting point nonetheless. So it's something new already. And I feel like with these sound design requests, that's been a little bit lacking for me. It's maybe also my fault, the way I present these. But what I think I'll do, if you guys still enjoy this, I will still keep doing sound design requests, because that's really, you know, a general way to kind of get nice videos as well as good ideas for videos, see what you guys want to see. But I'll always will only do the sound design request, whereas there's really some interesting parts of sound design to find rather than a sound to create. So like an interesting technique, an interesting idea, but not something that is like the exact same sound. So instead of teaching you how to make a sound, I really want to focus on teaching you techniques, and that's where I want to start using sound design tutorial requests for. Instead of the actual sound, I'm going to focus more and more on the technique, so that you can learn those techniques and apply them into your own processing and in your own sound design to actually start creating unique and new sounds that can help you, you know, be set apart from the average producer. So I hope that's something you're interested in. If you are, then subscribe and leave a like, so I know that you like what you see. Yeah, if you're new here, subscribe, and that's going to be it for today. One final thing that I should say is that I'm now able to accept memberships, so you can join the channel as a member, and what that will do is it will allow you to pay me monthly, kind of support me, and in return you will be able to access the project files and the preset files that I use in these videos. So if you're interested in that, then there's a join button down below where you can click and you can become a member of the channel, and I would highly appreciate it if you do. And it's also just, it's a good way to support the community, and you'll also get something extra from the channel here, mainly the presets and the projects and whatever samples I might be using. So if you're interested in that, again, all the details down below at the join button. But that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.